702. Tech Feature.
9 minutes to 2 o'clock in our tech feature for today. We are chatting all about AI prompting 101 and how to get AI to work with you and not replace you. 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line. 072-702-1702. We're joined by Tiffany Markman, who's a communication consultant, a writer and a speaker. Tiffany, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Tiffany, let's kick off with just the basic understanding, because we can't assume everybody is already onto AI, of what AI is.
So AI, the way we speak about it in mainstream terms, is usually what's called generative AI. In other words, it's when humans put a prompt or a little line of text or multiple lines of text into a large language model, which is the fancy name for an AI platform, and then expect to get some kind of output as a result, either text or an image or a piece of code. So the kind of AI that we are speaking about in the mainstream that most normal humans, not tech people, would use is generative AI.
Okay, so in terms of prompting 101, what does that look like? Because I think many of us, when we started with AI, was treating it like a Google search.
Yeah. So I think that's why a lot of the people who aren't using AI regularly tried it out in the beginning and maybe tried it out without using it optimally, and so it didn't give them what they wanted, and so perhaps they're not using it often now. Those of us who are still completely obsessed with it are trying to get better and better and better at our input. So prompt is just a fancy name for the text input that we as humans put into the platform. It's really just a pattern recognition platform. So basically what happens is we put input into that platform, and as a result of our input, the AI platform predicts the most likely and logical text to use to respond to us. So on that basis, you can see that the quality of your prompt directly affects the quality of what you get. So if you pop in the kind of phrasing and language you would use in a standard Google search, you're not really using the platform in the optimal way.
Okay, so what are some of the tips that you can share for somebody getting started with AI? And of course, ChatGPT is not the only one. There are many others, your Claudes and the others that people can find on their phones and laptops. Where does one get started?
So there are many different ones, ChatGPT being the most common. There's Claude, Gemini, Copilot, loads of others, hundreds and hundreds of others. But the rules for prompting them are much the same across all of them. So the most important thing is you've got to tell it more than you would think it needs to know. In other words, you've got to spoon feed it. You've got to give it information on who the audience is for the outcome that you're sending. So let's use an email as an example because it's a common one. If I want an AI platform to help me to write an email, I need to tell the platform who I'm sending the email to, what the email is about, what is the context for sending it, so what might have happened before, what are the constraints inherent in the email. In other words, is there a word length or word count? What don't I want it to say? What do I want it to say? What are the tonal things that will make it better or worse? So maybe I don't want it to sound aggressive. I don't want it to sound too forthright. Maybe I want it to be gentle. Maybe I want it to be more sensitive. And then what is the outcome that I desire? What am I hoping the reader will do once they've read the email? So people don't realize you have to give that level of detail to the platform in order to get the desired outcome.
So let's use a CV, for example, that you want the chat platform to update your CV, and maybe one of the criteria is they only want 1 pages. What kind of prompt would you give it?
So the first thing I would do is I would say, I want you to help me create a CV using this information. So I would upload a PDF or Word document of my existing CV. I would say that here is the job spec that I've been given by the recruiter or by the recruitment platform. So I'm sending the CV in response to this particular job spec, and I would give the platform that. Then I would say I want it to be only 1 page, so you're going to have to use tables or some kind of an infographic style in order to fit everything in. I would say that it's perhaps for a South African recruitment company that's looking to place me in a financial services position, just so that the language and vocab is right. And then I would say, you know, my personal speaking and writing style might be described as whatever, and then insert like professional, clear, confident, honest, transparent, just to give it a sense of you as a human so that it doesn't sound too generic.
How do you start to get or to start incorporating the AI into your life? Where are some of the places people can use it, maybe that they're not thinking about? For example, we have a 16-hour layover in Qatar. What can we do here?
So for that kind of thing, it's extremely useful, but you'd have to be much more specific than that. You'd have to say, we're a family of 4. Our 2 kids are under the age of 3. We really enjoy museums and eating out, but we absolutely hate long queues and walking outdoors in the rain. We have 18 hours, of which, we'd have to spend 3 hours getting back to the airport. What do you suggest we do in Qatar? So it's not just a what should we do in Qatar, because then you're going to get generic stuff, most of which isn't helpful. Tell it exactly what your family likes and doesn't like. It's not like it's a human that's going to be offended if you keep adding specifics. You can go on for hours. So the rule is spoon feed it. Give it much more information than you think it needs, and it will give you much better information than you thought you could get from it.
So already you can say one doesn't like swimming and one is allergic to ice cream, and you start to whittle it down, and then it starts to give you more and more information. What are your final thoughts just on how to really better use AI?
So the best tip that I have is, don't think that the platform is some kind of genius. It's not. What you put in affects what you're going to get out. So take the time to craft a prompt that will really serve your specific needs in the moment. Don't put all the heavy lifting onto the platform. Do a little bit of the thinking yourself first. Then it will give you AI-generated output, and then apply your human brain to that again, to refine it, to fine-tune it, to make it sound like you, to make it relevant. It's not a one-step process. It's at minimum a 3 to 4 step process. So it'll be really good for you if you take the time to use it properly. If you don't, it's never going to deliver much more than boring mediocrity.
Thank you so much, Tiffany, for your time today on our Tech Feature.